Hey there, welcome back. Today we're diving into something that might save your relationships, protect your mental health, and actually make you happier. Sounds dramatic? Maybe. But stick with me because what I'm about to share could change how you think about privacy forever. Here's a question for you. In our age of oversharing, where we post our breakfast, our feelings, and our entire life stories online, have we forgotten the power of keeping some things to ourselves? Think about it. Your great-grandmother probably kept a diary hidden under her mattress. Your grandfather might have had thoughts he shared with no one. But today, we live in glass houses, throwing stones at our own privacy. So why should you keep listening? Because I'm going to show you 3 specific things that, when kept private, can transform your life. We're not talking about being secretive or dishonest. We're talking about strategic privacy that protects your inner world and gives you real power. And here's the kicker. Science backs this up. Psychology research shows that certain types of privacy actually make us more authentic, more confident, and more successful in our relationships. Curious? Let's dive in. Before we talk about what to keep private, let's understand what privacy really means. Privacy isn't about hiding bad things or being dishonest. Real privacy is about creating sacred spaces in your life, spaces where you can think, grow, and be yourself without external judgment or influence. The ancient Greeks had a beautiful concept called inner citadel, the idea that everyone should have an untouchable core of self that remains private and protected. The philosopher Epictetus taught that this inner space is where true freedom lives. Now, why is this so important today? Well, we're living through what psychologists call the transparency trap. Social media has convinced us that sharing everything makes us more connected, more authentic. But research by Dr. Sherry Turkle at MIT shows the opposite. Constant sharing can actually make us feel more isolated and less authentic over time. Think of privacy like the walls of your home. You don't build walls because you're doing something wrong inside. You build them because you need space to be human, to make mistakes, to grow, to just exist without performance. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine if everyone could hear your thoughts all the time. Scary, right? That's because we naturally understand that some inner experiences need protection to stay healthy and genuine. So what happens when we overshare? 3 main problems emerge. First, we lose our sense of self because we start performing for others instead of being authentic. Second, we give away our power because other people's opinions start controlling our decisions. Third, we damage our relationships because we remove the mystery and respect that healthy boundaries create. Well, this foundation understanding leads us to a crucial question. What exactly should we keep private? Through years of psychological research and wisdom from great thinkers, 3 categories of privacy emerge as absolutely critical. Let me walk you through each one. First, your plans and dreams before they're ready. This might surprise you, but sharing your goals and dreams too early can actually prevent you from achieving them. NYU psychologist Peter Gallwitzer discovered something fascinating in his research. When we tell people about our intentions, our brain gets a premature sense of completion. It's like your mind thinks, great, I already got recognition for this goal, so I don't need to actually do it. Think about it this way. A seed needs to grow in darkness before it reaches for the light. Your dreams are the same way. They need protected space to develop their own strength before facing the world's opinions, doubts, and well-meaning advice. Here's a practical example. Let's say you want to write a novel. The moment you announce this at a family dinner, suddenly everyone becomes a literary critic. Oh, it's so hard to get published, or are you sure you have time for that? These comments, even when well-intentioned, can kill your motivation before it has a chance to grow strong. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "The wise are not learned. The learned are not wise." Sometimes wisdom means knowing when to stay quiet about what you know you want to do. Second, your personal struggles and vulnerabilities. Now, this doesn't mean never seeking help or support. It means being selective about who gets access to your deepest struggles and when you share them. Psychologist Brené Brown talks about vulnerability as the birthplace of courage and creativity. But she also emphasizes something crucial. Vulnerability without boundaries is not vulnerability. It's just emotional exhibitionism. Here's why this matters. When you share your struggles with everyone, you often get advice from people who haven't faced similar challenges. Worse, you might get judgment disguised as concern. This can actually make your struggles harder to overcome, because now you're dealing with both the original problem and other people's reactions to it. Think of your struggles like a broken bone. You don't show everyone your X-ray and ask for their medical opinion. You go to qualified people who can actually help, and you give the bone space to heal. Third, your private opinions and judgments. This is perhaps the most challenging one in our current culture. We feel pressure to have public opinions about everything: politics, social issues, other people's choices. But keeping some opinions private isn't about being fake or uncommitted. It's about protecting your ability to think clearly and change your mind. When you make every opinion public, you become invested in defending those opinions rather than continuing to learn and grow. Cognitive psychologists call this commitment bias. Once we've publicly committed to a position, we become blind to information that might change our minds. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius kept private journals where he worked through his thoughts and judgments. He understood that having space to think privately made him a better public leader. Now that we understand these three categories, let's see how to apply them in practice. So how do you actually practice strategic privacy in a world that rewards oversharing? Let me give you some concrete strategies that you can start using today. For protecting your plans, create what I call a development timeline. Give yourself at least 30 days of private work on any new goal before sharing it with anyone. During this time, let the idea develop its own momentum. Once you've taken concrete steps and built some confidence, then you can selectively share with people who will support rather than judge. Here's a practical trick. Replace "I'm going to" statements with "I'm working on something." When people ask what you're up to, this satisfies their curiosity without giving away your specific plans. For managing your struggles, develop what therapists call a support hierarchy. Have 1 or 2 trusted people for your deepest struggles, a few more for medium-level challenges, and keep surface-level stress private or share only with appropriate support systems. Before sharing any struggle, ask yourself, will telling this person actually help me solve this problem, or am I just looking for emotional release? If it's just emotional release, consider journaling, exercise, or other private processing methods first. For your opinions, practice what I call opinion incubation. When you feel strongly about something, especially controversial topics, give yourself 24 to 48 hours before expressing that opinion publicly. Often, this cooling-off period helps you express your thoughts more thoughtfully, or you might realize the opinion doesn't need to be public at all. Create private spaces for working through your thoughts, a journal, voice memos to yourself, or conversations with one trusted friend who can help you think through complex issues without judging. Now, you might be wondering, doesn't this make me fake or disconnected from others? Let's address this concern directly. Doesn't keeping things private make me inauthentic or fake? Not at all. Authenticity isn't about sharing everything. It's about being genuine in what you do share. Think of it like this. You don't show guests every room in your house, but the rooms you do show reflect who you really are. Privacy allows you to be more authentic because you're not performing or seeking validation for every aspect of your life. But what about being vulnerable and building connections? Vulnerability is powerful, but it needs to be strategic. The difference is between vulnerable sharing that builds intimacy with the right people at the right time versus vulnerable dumping that overwhelms others and weakens your boundaries. Good relationships actually need some mystery and respect to stay healthy. Won't people think I'm secretive or hiding something bad? Here's the thing. Emotionally healthy people respect boundaries. If someone gets upset because you don't share everything with them, that actually tells you something important about their character. People who demand total transparency often have boundary issues themselves. How do I know what's safe to share and what isn't? Ask yourself 3 questions. First, will sharing this help me or the other person in a concrete way? Second, is this person qualified to handle this information responsibly? Third, am I sharing this for healthy reasons? Or am I seeking validation or trying to get someone else to solve my problems? Now let's look at how we can put this information together. So let's wrap this up. We've talked about 3 types of privacy that can transform your life: protecting your plans until they're ready, being selective about sharing your struggles, and keeping some opinions private to maintain your ability to think and grow. Remember, this isn't about becoming secretive or dishonest. It's about creating sacred spaces in your life where you can be human, make mistakes, dream, and grow without constant external input. The paradox of privacy is this: the more selectively you share, the more meaningful your sharing becomes. When you do choose to be vulnerable or share your dreams, it carries more weight because people know you don't share everything with everyone. Your homework for this week: identify one thing in each category that you can practice keeping private. Maybe it's a goal you've been talking about but haven't started working on. Maybe it's a struggle you've been oversharing. Maybe it's an opinion you don't need to broadcast. Start small, notice how it feels, and remember, your inner world is precious. Protect it like the treasure it is. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode where we'll dive into how privacy actually makes you more confident in social situations. Until then, keep some mystery alive in your life.